Let's bring in our panel tonight, former Speaker of the House, Bronwyn Bishop, and outgoing Liberal Senator, Holly Hughes. Welcome to you both. Bronwyn, do you agree that the United States at this point needs to step in and help completely destroy, Fordo in particular, the nuclear sites that Israel just doesn't have the ability to do so militarily?
Well, I think Donald Trump's made it quite clear that he will give support to Israel to see that it is impossible for Iran to have an atomic bomb. And I think that the messaging he set out says that he will do whatever he has to do to see that occur. And I don't think he's, in this time, calling anyone's bluff. I think he means it. And I think the fact that Australia has been so pathetic in not supporting any of the actions that Israel has taken and the initiative that Trump has taken has resulted in Albanese being snubbed very, very publicly. I think I'm embarrassed to see the Prime Minister of my nation so humiliated because he was lacking in courage. And when I see the words of Penny Wong, and I look at the relationship between China and Iran, I ask myself, are we being influenced by the Chinese Communist Party's policies in what we are doing with regard to the Middle East? And I think that's something that needs to be explored.
Oh, it's an interesting question. I want to come back to Trump's snub of Albanese in a minute. But, Holly, I just want to stick with the situation in the Middle East. Bless you. I think it is really worrying to see that the Republican movement has been hijacked by MAGA isolationists who are racist, selfish, and have this narrow-minded view of the world where clearly they don't think America should be the leader of the free world.
Yeah, well, we know when we sort of look at politics and we see the left and the right, and if you go far enough, they come back together again. And if you look at what's happened with some of those on, you know, the far left and their pro-Palestinian stance, and then some on the far right that have actually moved to an anti-Israel stance, you can see them sort of conjoining together in what I think is a really scary group that should never sort of be left alone and unsupervised, and now they're all singing from the same song sheet. I mean, I think what Bibi's been doing is just extraordinary, and the commentary that Israel needs the US to come in, and I'm sure it would be incredibly helpful and supportive, but I have incredible faith in what Mossad and the IDF have coming next. I think their big surprises tend to be quite spectacular, so here's hoping there's a good one. But to your point about Iran and the left and the absolute poor treatment, human rights, lack of, particularly for women, the rights of LGBTI posted today, support for the Iranian people or support for Iran. I think we could buy a few of them a one-way ticket over to Iran because I think we know how they'd be welcomed. Well, it's the same as when they got to Palestine.
Sure, but if they support the Iranians, they should be supporting Israel's
These people
campaign.
don't understand. They don't understand. That would be a technical, actually understanding the oppression of the Iranian people by this regime as opposed to supporting this regime. But as you say, they're just anti-Israel.
Yeah. All right, well, let's return to the fact that Trump cancelled his meeting with Albanese today. Now, of course, on one hand, that's understandable. He had to rush back to the Middle East, but he could have organised another time to have the meeting. He could have quickly had it. I mean, he did have time for other meetings with other world leaders. But the truth is that Albanese's left-wing ideology and offensive statements toward Israel and America, who he's treated with disdain, while, as Bronwyn says, he's been cozying up to China, this has cost him. So it has put it's put Albanese in an embarrassing situation, but it's making Australia increasingly irrelevant when it comes to foreign policy discussions. And I think Dave Sharma made this point really well on Chris Kenny earlier. Have a look.
Penny Wong and Anthony Albanese, when it comes to the Middle East, we've made ourselves irrelevant. I mean, you know, the first person that Penny Wong spoke to after this Israel-Iran conflict broke was the Iranian foreign minister, not the Israeli prime minister, not other allies, as far as I'm aware.
I think that really sums it up, Bronwyn, what Dave said. The first person, as far as we all know, that Penny Wong spoke to was the Iranian foreign minister. What is going on?
Well, that just reinforces the point I made. are we being influenced by the statements that Wong and Albanese are making, because that is the Chinese Communist Party's attitude. And the fact that he would go, or rather she would go and speak to the Iranian ambassador, simply reinforces that point, to my mind. I mean, China buys its oil from Iran. It is a close relationship. If you're a Chinese citizen, you can go and stay for 21 days in Iran without a visa. It's a very close relationship. And we've seen this government of ours, when we've had Chinese warships in our waters, when we've had members of our own defence forces misadventured or attacked, use whatever word you like, there was not a word of criticism. So I am very worried about the subversive way, perhaps that's too strong a word, but to me there's something going on that doesn't make sense.
I agree, I completely agree. Holly, what do you think about this? I agree with what Dave Sharma said, that Albanese and Penny Wong threw their foreign policy positions on our allies, including the derogatory way they often speak about President Trump. I mean, it's just meant that we're no longer given a seat at the table.
Well, we're not relevant. And I think what Albanese and Wong and others' comments, Kevin Rudd, our ambassador to the United States, also has said about Donald Trump in the past, would probably not make us the higher priority for them to become best buds with. But I think what was interesting, and when you look at Prime Minister Carney, he hosted sort of the tier 2 leaders about an hour and a half away from where the G7 was being hosted. And so there was sort of no crossover. There was no top tier and second tier leader dinner together tonight. So there was no opportunity for just a quiet chat over dinner before Donald Trump left, because Prime Minister Carney kept them separate, whereas Boris Johnson had previously, with Scott Morrison, had everyone together and had those organisations working more closely. So, is Prime Minister Carney really that keen on having us at the table as well?
I just think there's another point that's important. There was a great fanfare that what a wonderful job Kay Rudd had done in organising this meeting. We'd got a time. It was 20 minutes. This is the meeting time. What a fantastic job he's done with his insights and his connections. He actually went to Canada with the Prime Minister to hold his hand, which I just find amazing in terms of we have diplomatic relations in Canada, but there's Kay Rudd, to hold his hand. Now, I have seen personally in the chamber that relationship between Kevin Rudd and Albanese over the years.
Very close friends.
Absolutely. And I remember Albanese hosting a dinner with a group of friends in a restaurant I was attending when they were planting the coup to get rid of, or to put Kevin Rudd back for the second time.
Yeah.
And so it's a close relationship. And I think Albanese depends on Kevin Rudd, but Kevin Rudd clearly hasn't got the connection. So what are the ramifications? Is there going to be a change in the representation we have in Washington over this? Or are we going to try and spin it away? Nothing happened, nothing to see here. It's all, what are the words they like
it'll
to
be
use?
Israel's fault again.
Yes.
Like everything else, it'll be Israel's fault.
Yeah, of course. The one glimmer of hope, though, was that it did sound in a way like Trump was backing in AUKUS, so he was at least nodding his head. Have a look.
Yeah, we're proceeding with that. It's a really important deal to both of us. I think the president is doing a review. We did a review when we came into government, so that makes good sense to me. But it's a really important...
We're very long-time partners and allies and friends, and we've become friends in a short period of time.
So he didn't directly address AUKUS. He didn't disagree with the sentiment. But, I mean, I already spoke about this last week, Holly. The president is using AUKUS as a bargaining tool to get Albanese to lift his defence spend.
Oh, and, I've done a few other shows. I do Pete Stefanovic of Monday Morning and talking to Matt Thistlethwaite and him using the dollar figure. They keep talking about, but we're spending dollars here, because they cannot acknowledge it's a percentage of GDP.
Out of step with everyone else.
They're absolutely missing the point. They don't understand what the issue is, and yet they're still trying to spin it oh, but we're spending $10 billion here or we're spending $50 billion here.
They're not spending
They're
it.
not at all. And then Richard Marles is, you know, oh, well, we need to know what we're going to spend it on. If anyone hasn't realised yet, defence is really a finance portfolio. You're not going down to the local Costco to see what bullets are on sale as Defence Minister. It's actually working with the brass to make sure that Australia has the right strategic responses in place. And, you know, these guys clearly don't understand how it works.
No, and we look so pathetic compared to a nation with courage and who's well equipped like Israel.
Absolutely.
Right, Holly Hughes, Bronwyn Bishop, thank you both so much.
Pleasure.
Thanks, Sharri.